Alrighty, breaking news here. I will have more on the head coaches being fired, summarizing the events of Monday. And so far, it looks like it's going to be a crazy day come tomorrow. Already, we have 6 head coaching vacancies, and it's not even Black Monday yet. As I covered before, the Rams let go of Jeff Fisher a couple weeks ago. The Bills let go of Rex Ryan last week. We now have official news coming out of San Diego and San Francisco, where the Chargers have fired Mike McCoy as their head coach, and the 49ers are moving on from Chip Kelly after one season. Very similar to Jim Tomsula, who only had one season as he tried to replace Jim Harbaugh. And now the 49ers will be looking for their third head coach since Jim Harbaugh was fired. And also other news out of San Francisco. Trent Baalke, general manager of the 49ers, is also being let go. It is a complete house cleaning in San Francisco as the 49ers are starting over in 2017. And it's interesting that the 49ers a couple years ago were in the Super Bowl, in Super Bowl 47 with Jim Harbaugh, and then the 49ers, they let him go, and now they're looking for their third head coach. Jim Harbaugh, meanwhile, has had success in Michigan. And while there are reports of Jim Harbaugh being considered for a couple of the vacancies, I don't think he is going to leave Michigan just yet. But we do need to keep an eye out on 2018, as Jim Harbaugh hasn't really stayed anywhere past 4 years. So it will be interesting to see if the NFL temptation will be there for Jim Harbaugh in 2018, as 2017 will be his 4th year with Michigan. This is interesting for the Chargers because they are going to be making an announcement soon, and it is expected they are going to be joining the Rams in Los Angeles, sharing the stadium, and they're both competing for the same head coaches, and yet they're going to be sharing the same stadium. So they're going to be outbidding each other while sharing the same stadium, as it is expected that the Chargers will be making the announcement soon that they will be heading to Los Angeles and becoming the Los Angeles Chargers, and Mike McCoy will not be the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers going forward. As for the 49ers, this is what happens when you let go of a good coach. Trent Baalke, he politicked his way into convincing Jed York to fire Jim Harbaugh instead of firing him. And it's actually interesting how the paths of the 49ers and Chargers mirror each other. Remember the battle that San Diego has yet to recover from, which was Marty Schottenheimer versus then general manager A.J. Smith. And San Diego, they chose A.J. Smith. They let Marty Schottenheimer go after a 14-2 season. And basically, the Chargers have been struggling ever since. And now here they are looking for another head coach. San Francisco battled a very similar situation where Trent Baalke won the battle over Jim Harbaugh, the successful head coach that had you winning. Basically, he ends up getting fired a couple years down the line anyway. And much like the 49ers, Jim Harbaugh versus Trent Baalke, and Jed York stupidly chose Trent Baalke over Jim Harbaugh. Basically, that started the downfall of the 49ers. We know after Jim Harbaugh was let go, they were hit with retirements, like Patrick Willis. I think there was maybe one or two I can't think of off the top of my head right now. But the 49ers were hit hard, and They had Jim Tomsula. They let him go after 1 year. Now Chip Kelly's gone after 1 year. Very similar paths for the 49ers and Chargers here. And the Chargers are still trying to recover, and they're hoping that whoever replaces Mike McCoy can get them back on the path they were on when they had Marty Schottenheimer. And it does make it even more interesting when you look at the decline of Phillip Rivers. We know the Chargers aren't letting go of their general manager, Tom Telesco. The decline of Phillip Rivers has to be something that the Chargers have to look at. Maybe it's time to send him off to a team that he can go win a Super Bowl with, and you start over, and you start fresh in Los Angeles with a new quarterback, a new head coach. Who knows? I mean, maybe that's a good possibility in the offseason. We talk about Tony Romo a lot. You know, where will he play at? And especially when you look at that drive he led, 81-yard drive for a touchdown, and how good he looked. You know, Jerry Jones was just salivating at the mouth, just dreaming of all those draft picks that he can get for Tony Romo. When you look at how valuable a quarterback is in today's NFL, and I think somebody out there would be willing to give up some picks for Phillip Rivers, and I don't know who, but that's also something that San Diego needs to look at in the offseason as well. Is it time to move on and bring in a new quarterback? Especially now you're moving to a new city. You have a new head coach that's going to be in place at some point. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason for the Chargers as they prepare to not only move on from Mike McCoy, but also the city of San Diego. And as for the 49ers, you know, they are hoping that whoever they bring in as general manager will hire the right head coach, and that this general manager will be able to put the pieces together to make the 49ers a great team again. Because essentially, to see how quickly they have fallen off the NFL radar, I mean, they own the second overall pick in the draft. So that tells you just how quickly you can fall in the NFL. 3 years ago, they were playing a Super Bowl 47. Now they're looking at their third head coach since firing Jim Harbaugh, the coach that led them to the Super Bowl. And even though it was a loss, the 49ers were on the right track to eventually win a Super Bowl until Trent Baalke got in the way of that. Now let's move on out of California. And in other news for the coaching carousel, as I said, it's not even Black Monday yet, and we have coaching news hitting the wire like crazy. Gary Kubiak, the Broncos head coach, he is resigning as head coach, and the Broncos will be looking for a new head coach in 2017 as Kubiak is walking off into the sunset and retiring as a coach in the NFL. As we know, Kubiak got his Super Bowl ring last year as a head coach with the Denver Broncos as they won Super Bowl 50. The Broncos are out of the playoffs this year as the Chiefs won the AFC West earlier today, and they have clinched a first-round bye in the number 2 seed. And with reports that Wade Phillips, the Broncos defensive coordinator, also retiring, there's going to be a little shakeup there in Denver, it seems like, as the Broncos will be looking at wholesale changes, it seems, if Wade Phillips does go. And we saw the type of defense that the Broncos had under Phillips, and it will be interesting to see who they bring in to replace Phillips if he does indeed retire and can replicate that same success that Phillips had. There we go, folks. Some early Black Monday news, and it's not even Black Monday yet because I'm recording this as it is the fourth quarter of the Green Bay and Detroit game, and by the time I get this loaded, that game will be over with, and either the Lions or the Packers will have won the NFC North. But just want to get a quick video out on some of the coaching news of the day. And with most of the expected firings out of the way, it does seem we might be in for a few surprises come tomorrow on Black Monday. I've been your host, Money Mike. Subscribe to this channel for more as we head into the postseason. I will talk about the coaching carousel as the month of January and the playoffs go on. Which teams will be waiting for their next potential head coach on a playoff team, as we see maybe Kyle Shanahan of the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons' offense is really, really good this year, and I imagine Kyle Shanahan is going to work his way into a head coaching gig because of that. And depending on how far Atlanta goes, we'll have to see if teams will be patient enough to wait on a Kyle Shanahan or a Josh McDaniels. So, we'll see how that goes. I will be back here tomorrow for a roundup of the coaching carousel. Enjoy yourselves. A happy new year. And it's playoff time, baby. The run to Super Bowl 51 begins now.